I still remember the day we decided to embark on this extraordinary social experiment. Our team had been discussing ideas for what felt like an eternity, trying to come up with something that would not only capture people's attention, but also make a real difference in someone's life. That's when it hit us: we would find the poorest man in town and make him a millionaire. The concept was simple yet profound. We weren't just talking about handing someone a check, we were talking about transforming a life. The first challenge we faced was defining what we meant by poorest. Was it solely about financial wealth, or did it encompass something more? We decided that our candidate would be someone who not only struggled financially, but also faced other hardships, such as lack of opportunities, resources, or support. This wasn't just about giving money, it was about giving a chance at a better life. With our concept in place, we set out to explain it to the local community. We chose a small, close-knit town where everyone knew each other's stories. The town had its fair share of challenges, from closed factories to limited job opportunities, but it was also a place where community spirit was strong. We believed that this setting would provide the perfect backdrop for our experiment. As we began our search, we met with local leaders, visited community centers, and spoke with residents. Everyone had a story, and everyone knew someone who was struggling. But we were looking for that one person whose life would be significantly impacted by our intervention. We weren't looking for someone to pity, we were looking for someone to empower. The search was not easy. We encountered many individuals facing difficult circumstances, each with their unique struggles and challenges. But we were determined to find the right person, someone who would not only benefit from our help, but also inspire others with their story. And then one day, we received a tip about a potential candidate. A man who lived on the outskirts of town, someone who had been dealing with hardship for as long as anyone could remember. We were intrigued. Could this be the person we were looking for? We decided to pay him a visit, to learn more about his story and see if he would be the perfect candidate for our experiment. Little did we know our lives and his were about to change forever. I still remember the day we met John, the man who would potentially become a millionaire. After initiating the search, our team had found him to be a potential candidate, and we were excited to learn more about his life. As we walked up to his small, worn-out house, I couldn't help but notice the contrast between his neighborhood and the more affluent areas of town. The streets were lined with old, faded houses, and the air was thick with the smell of poverty. We knocked on the door, and after a brief moment it creaked open to reveal a man in his mid-30s, with a rugged face and sunken eyes. He introduced himself as John, and we explained the purpose of our visit. We told him that we were looking for someone to participate in an experiment, where we would attempt to make them a millionaire, and that he had been selected as a potential candidate. John looked surprised but also curious as we asked if we could come in and talk to him more about his life. He hesitated for a moment, then stepped aside, allowing us to enter his humble abode. The inside of his house was just as worn out as the outside, with old furniture and faded walls. But despite the poverty, there was a sense of warmth and hospitality that filled the air. We sat down in his living room, and I began to ask John about his current situation. He told us that he had been struggling to make ends meet, working multiple jobs just to put food on the table. He shared with us his backstory about how he had grown up in a poor family and how he had always dreamed of a better life. But despite his struggles, he had never given up hope, and he continued to work hard, determined to create a better future for himself. As we listened to John's story, I couldn't help but feel a sense of empathy and admiration for this man. He was a true survivor, and his determination and resilience were inspiring. We explained the experiment to him and the potential benefits it could bring. We told him that if he were to participate, we would provide him with the resources and support he needed to become a millionaire. John listened intently, his eyes wide with excitement and skepticism. He asked us questions, wanting to know more about the experiment and what it would entail. We answered his questions, trying to reassure him that this was a genuine opportunity and that we were committed to helping him succeed. As we finished our conversation, John agreed to participate in the experiment. But as we prepared to leave, we realized that we faced a challenge in verifying his financial situation and deciding if he was the right candidate. We needed to make sure that he was truly in need and that our help would make a real difference in his life. We left his house, determined to delve deeper into his financial situation and to make a decision that would change his life forever. I still remember the day we met John, the man we believed could be the poorest in town. After our initial meeting, we knew we had to take the next step, verifying his financial situation. This was crucial in ensuring that our help would be going to the right person. Our team, including our financial advisor and data analyst, got to work immediately. The first part of the verification process involved gathering all of John's financial documents and records. This wasn't an easy task, as John had never really kept track of his finances before. We had to sort through piles of unopened bills, bank statements, and receipts to get a clear picture of his current situation. John was hesitant at first, but once he understood the importance of this step, he cooperated fully. We spent hours at his small, cluttered apartment, digging through boxes and folders, trying to make sense of his financial chaos. Next, we decided to conduct interviews with John's neighbors and acquaintances. This would give us a more rounded view of his lifestyle and financial habits. We walked around his neighborhood, knocking on doors and introducing ourselves. The people we met were friendly and willing to share what they knew about John. They told us stories about his daily struggles, from lining up at the local soup kitchen to fetching cans from the trash to recycle for extra cash. Hearing these stories reinforced our belief that John was indeed the person we were looking for. Back at our office, our data analyst began the painstaking task of analyzing all the data we had collected. This involved inputting numbers into spreadsheets, categorizing expenses, and comparing them against income. It was a slow and meticulous process, but it was essential for understanding the full extent of John's financial situation. Our financial advisor also reviewed the documents, looking for any signs of assets or hidden income that might disqualify John from our program. As the days turned into weeks, our team worked tirelessly to finalize the verification process. There were challenges along the way, of course. Some documents were missing, and we had to track them down. There were discrepancies in John's stories that we had to clarify. But eventually, after weeks of hard work, we were ready to make our decision. The team gathered around the conference table, surrounded by stacks of papers and laptops open to spreadsheets. Our financial advisor presented the findings, summarizing John's financial situation in stark terms. The numbers were clear. John was indeed the poorest man in town, living below the poverty line with barely enough to get by each month. With this confirmation, we were ready to move forward with our plan to make John a millionaire. But as we prepared to share the news with him, we couldn't shake off the feeling that the real challenge was only just beginning. John's skepticism about our intentions and his ability to adapt to such a drastic change in his life could be the first obstacle in our path. We were about to change John's life forever, but were we truly prepared for what lay ahead? I still remember the day we decided to take a chance on John, the man we had identified as the poorest in town. Our team had confirmed his eligibility for the experiment, but now we faced a new challenge: overcoming his skepticism. John had every right to be hesitant. The idea of a group of strangers attempting to make him a millionaire in just a few short months seemed like a wild fantasy. As we sat down with John in our office, I could sense the uncertainty radiating from him. He was a proud man, and the thought of accepting help from others made him uncomfortable. Our team leader, Sarah, began to address his concerns, explaining the reasoning behind our experiment and the potential benefits it could bring to his life. But despite her reassuring words, John's fears and doubts lingered. That's when we decided to bring in a motivational coach, someone who could help John see the possibilities and build trust with our team. Her name was Rachel, and she had a warm, infectious smile that put everyone at ease. Rachel started by leading us through some trust-building exercises designed to help John open up and share his thoughts and feelings. It wasn't easy at first. John was hesitant to let his guard down, but slowly he began to relax and participate. The next step was to introduce John to the first phase of our transformation plan. This involved setting clear financial goals and creating a budget that would help him manage his newfound wealth. John was skeptical at first, but as Rachel explained the logic behind our plan, he started to see the potential. We also took him to a motivational seminar where he met others who had overcome similar challenges and achieved success. Seeing people who had been in his shoes and were now thriving was a powerful inspiration for John. As the days turned into weeks, John began to transform before our eyes. He started to believe in himself and the possibilities that our experiment could bring. But despite this progress, our team realized that making John a millionaire would require more than just financial support. We would need to help him develop a new mindset, one that was focused on growth, opportunity, and the willingness to take calculated risks. The journey ahead would be challenging, but we were determined to see it through, and John, for the first time in his life, felt like he had a real chance to turn his fortunes around. I still remember the day we decided to take a chance on John, the man we had identified as the poorest in town. It was a turning point in his life, and ours, as we embarked on an experiment to make him a millionaire. As John became more open to our plan, we started implementing the transformation strategy, focusing on his personal and professional development. We enrolled John in educational and vocational training programs, designed to equip him with the skills he needed to succeed in his chosen career path. It was amazing to see him thrive in this new environment, surrounded by educators and career advisors who were dedicated to helping him achieve his goals. The training facilities were state-of-the-art, and John was like a sponge, soaking up all the knowledge and information that was being imparted to him. In addition to the formal training, we also provided John with mentorship and career guidance. We connected him with experienced professionals in his desired field who were willing to share their expertise and offer valuable advice. These mentors played a crucial role in helping John navigate the challenges he faced, and their guidance was instrumental in shaping his career aspirations. As John's personal and professional life began to take shape, we also turned our attention to his living conditions. We believed that a comfortable and supportive environment was essential for his overall well-being, and we worked tirelessly to improve his home and surroundings. The new home we provided for John was a far cry from the cramped and dingy apartment he had been living in. It was spacious, well-furnished, and equipped with all the amenities he needed to live a comfortable life. The transformation in John's life was nothing short of remarkable. He was like a new person, exuding confidence and enthusiasm as he pursued his goals. We had set out to make him a millionaire, but in the process, we had also helped him discover a new sense of purpose and meaning in his life. As we looked on, we couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and satisfaction, knowing that our experiment was having a profound impact on John's life. But just as things were starting to fall into place, we encountered an unexpected challenge that threatened to jeopardize the entire experiment. It was a setback that we had not anticipated, and it forced us to reevaluate our strategy and come up with a new plan to overcome the obstacles that lay ahead. Despite the uncertainty, we remained committed to our goal of making John a millionaire, and we were determined to find a way to succeed, no matter what challenges came our way. I still remember the day when our team's morale was at an all-time high, and John's transformation was gaining momentum. We had been working tirelessly to help him become a millionaire, and every step of the way we were seeing progress. But just as we thought we were on the home stretch, disaster struck. An unforeseen obstacle emerged, threatening to derail the entire experiment. At first, we were in shock. We had never anticipated this problem, and it seemed insurmountable. But, as a team, we knew we had to act fast. We quickly assembled an emergency meeting to discuss the issue and potential solutions. Our crisis manager and problem-solving expert took the lead, guiding us through the process of identifying the source of the problem and brainstorming potential solutions. As we sat around the table, throwing out ideas and debating the best course of action, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. What if we couldn't find a way to overcome this obstacle? What if John's transformation was doomed to fail? But our team's resilience and adaptability kicked in, and we began to work together to find a way forward. We spent hours in strategic planning sessions, poring over data and analyzing different scenarios. We worked closely with John, making sure he was on board with our plans and that we were all working towards the same goal. And slowly but surely, we started to make progress. We implemented contingency plans, and our problem-solving strategies began to pay off. It wasn't easy, and there were times when we felt like giving up. But our team's determination and perseverance kept us going. We knew that we had come too far to turn back now, and that John's transformation was worth fighting for. As we navigated this challenge, I realized that overcoming adversity is not just about finding solutions to problems, but also about growing and learning as a team. And as we finally started to see the light at the end of the tunnel, I knew that we were on the verge of something amazing. The ultimate goal of making John a millionaire was still within reach, and we were more determined than ever to make it happen. The question was, would we be able to stay on track and achieve our goal, or would another obstacle throw us off course? Only time would tell, but one thing was for sure: we were ready for whatever came next. I still remember the day we decided to take on this project, to find the poorest man in town and make him a millionaire. It's been a long and challenging journey, but we've finally reached the last stretch. With the obstacles we faced now behind us, our team could focus on the final stages of the transformation plan. The goal was clear: to make John a millionaire, and we were determined to see it through. The first step in this final push was to intensify John's financial education. We brought in a wealth management expert who had years of experience in handling high-net-worth individuals. She was stringent, precise, and had a knack for breaking down complex financial concepts into easily digestible pieces. John was a quick learner, and under her guidance, he began to grasp the intricacies of investment strategies, understanding how to diversify his portfolio, manage risk, and maximize returns. Alongside his financial education, we also prepared John for the responsibilities and challenges that come with wealth. Being a millionaire isn't just about having money. It's about managing it wisely, making smart investment decisions, and navigating the often complex world of high finance. We enrolled him in financial seminars where he could learn from other successful individuals, sharing their experiences and the lessons they'd learned along the way. These seminars were invaluable, providing John with a network of peers and mentors who could offer advice and support. Another crucial aspect of our plan was to introduce John to the world of wealth management offices. Here he could see firsthand how wealth is managed, from setting up trusts to planning for tax efficiency. It was a steep learning curve, but John was eager to absorb every piece of information. He spent hours in these offices, meeting with financial advisors, lawyers, and other experts who could help him understand the legal and ethical implications of his newfound wealth. As we delved deeper into the final stages of our plan, we also introduced John to the concept of philanthropy. We believed that giving back to the community was an essential part of being a responsible millionaire. John was initially hesitant, unsure of where to start or how to make a meaningful impact. But with guidance, he began to explore different causes, eventually finding a few that resonated deeply with him. He started small, donating to local charities and volunteering his time. It was inspiring to see John develop a sense of purpose beyond his personal wealth, understanding that his money could be a tool for positive change. Throughout this journey, our team worked tirelessly behind the scenes, finalizing the millionaire-making plan. We faced numerous challenges, from navigating complex financial regulations to dealing with the emotional and psychological impacts of sudden wealth. But we were a cohesive unit, each member bringing their expertise to the table to ensure that every facet of the plan was meticulously executed. Now, as we stand at the threshold of revealing John's new status to him, there's a mix of excitement and trepidation. How will he react to this life-changing news? Will he be overwhelmed, or will he embrace this new chapter of his life with grace and humility? The moment of truth is upon us, and all we can do is wait and see how John's story unfolds from here. As I stood outside the final reveal location, a mix of emotions swirled inside me. Months of hard work, dedication, and secrecy were all leading up to this moment. The moment when we would tell John that he was now a millionaire. I couldn't help but think about the journey that had brought us here, the ups and downs, the highs and lows. Our team had worked tirelessly to transform John's life, to give him a chance at a future he never thought possible. As we led John into the reveal location, I could sense his nervousness, his uncertainty. He had no idea what was waiting for him, no idea that his life was about to change in ways he never could have imagined. And then the moment of truth arrived. We sat him down, took a deep breath, and told him the news. "John, you are now a millionaire." The room fell silent except for the sound of John's stunned breathing. His eyes widened, his face pale, as if the words had knocked the wind out of him. I watched as the news sank in, as the reality of his new situation began to dawn on him. And then the tears came. Tears of joy, tears of relief, tears of gratitude. John was overwhelmed, and I couldn't help but feel a lump form in my throat as I watched him process this life-changing news. As John composed himself, he began to share his plans for the future. He talked about paying off his debts, about buying a new home, about investing in his community. He spoke with a sense of purpose, a sense of direction that I had never seen before. It was as if the weight of his poverty had been lifted, and he could finally see a bright future ahead of him. As I looked around the room, I saw the impact of our experiment on John, but also on our team, on the community. We had set out to change one man's life, But in doing so, we had created a ripple effect of kindness and transformation. We had shown that even the smallest acts of generosity could have a profound impact, that even the poorest man in town could become a millionaire with a little bit of help. As we concluded the experiment, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment. We had done something special, something that would stay with John, with our team, and with the community for a long time to come. And as I looked at John, now a millionaire, I knew that this was just the beginning of his journey, a journey that would be filled with ups and downs, but also with hope, with possibility, and with a sense of purpose.